we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to be doing the same look that I did on myself on my first impressions with the Jaclyn Hill Volume 2 palette. But today I wanted to show you exactly how I would achieve that look doing it on a client. Today I have my beautiful sister here. I'm going to make sure I leave her Instagram information tag below because she does have a modeling shoot today and she thought the look that I had worn the previous day was very beautiful. So we're going to attempt the same look on her. My very first step is to use the Evian facial spray. I'm going to go ahead and spray that across the face, and then we're going to set that in with our primer brush. I like to spray the face because this will give me any indication of texture or dry patches on the skin as well as hydrated. And I'm just using the small Eco Tools Wonder Color Finish brush to rub that in. This will be the same brush that I'll use to apply my primer. Now that we have the skin nice and hydrated, I want to go ahead and start off with my primer. Knowing that she has oily skin, I'm going to start off with the Becca Evermatte Poreless Primer Perfector, and I'm going to apply that with the same Eco Tools brush. For primer, I'm going to be going in with the Maybelline Master Prime in the shade 050 Hydrate and Smooth. Once again, applying that with the same Eco Tools brush. Make sure you get underneath the client's eyes by having them look straight up, and then you can take and get close to the lash line like this. Good. Also cover your entire lid with the primer. We're going to go over the Becca Evermatte, but we're going to be careful not to move that product. We just want to swipe right above it. For foundation, I'm going to be using the Maybelline Fit Me Matte and Poreless Foundation in the shade 330. Although I do prefer a glowy look, I find it's easier to carry a matte foundation in my freelance kit because I can always add elements to it to make it more glowy, but it's usually harder to take a glowy foundation and make it appear matte. And I'm going to be applying the foundation with the Real Techniques Expert Face Brush. Starting in the center of the face and swiping out. We want to apply the sheerest layer that we possibly can while still achieving medium to full coverage. Notice how her skin does have a glow even though we used a matte foundation because we put a hydrating primer underneath. We wanted to make sure that we did build up to medium to full coverage, as you can see here, but we still want to make sure that the tattoos and things on her neck are visible because we don't want to cover everything. Next, we're going to start highlighting the skin, and for that, I'm going to be using the NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer in Medium 3 Praline. And because this is the client, I don't want to double dip or anything, so I will always use a disposable wand. This is normally used for lip gloss, but I find that it applies the product for the concealer very well. Okay, then we're going to apply this to all our highlighted areas underneath the eyes. Bridge of the nose, Cupid's bow and chin. And I'm going to blend out my highlighted areas with the Real Techniques complexion sponge. You want to do small dabbing motions just so that you can blend the product out but not spread it all over the place. And as you can see, we now have brightness in the center of the face. And although she doesn't need any more product, just because there's some left on my wand, I'm going to go ahead and add that there just so I don't waste product. I'm a big fan of a really bright under eye, so adding that extra product there isn't going to hurt my feelings. And although, as you can see, we do have highlight, I am someone who likes a very, very bright under eye because I don't get as much sleep as I would love. So we're going to go in with a slightly lighter shade, medium to ginger, and brighten underneath the eyes. This color is only going to go directly underneath the eye area, and it's not going to be blended out all over the cheek. And as you can see with this color, we just want it right there underneath the eye to create an extremely bright glow there. You can see how this one side is much brighter than the other side. To set everything on the face, we're going to be using the Real Techniques setting brush. And our powder is going to be a 50-50 mixture of the Midnight Banana Powder and the Sasha Cosmetics Buttercup Powder. Okay, and right before setting everything, I want to go in, make sure we blend out because concealer loves to settle into under eye lines, and we all have them. And you're going to have your client look straight up and press that right underneath the eyes. This is the very first area on the face I like to set because it's highest prone to creasing. And we're going to repeat that process on the other side. Then we're going to have our client close her eyes, and then we're going to set on top of the lids. I like to go on top of the lid next because it still has some of that very bright concealer that we use as the eye brightener. And as you can see, one eyelid is much lighter than the other. That'll help for shadows to show up much better later on. Okay, and before we set the rest of our face, we're going to dust off what's on our lid and then bake the entire face. And to add the powder to set the entire face, we're going to be using the e.l.f. Cosmetics Ultimate Blending Brush. Now that we have our base set and baking, we're going to go ahead with eyeshadow. Today we're going to be using, once again, the Jaclyn Hill Volume 2 palette. We're not being rude to cover our face, we just want to show you what it looks like. And we're going to give you another look of the palette here. These shades are absolutely stunning and gorgeous. I'm going to start things off with the Sigma E38 brush, Diffuse Crease, and we're going to go in with the shade My Man. I'm going to take that and blend that into the first half of the crease. And we want to build this up to full pigmentation, only going about halfway. And as you can see, that color has some nice pigmentation. It is fully blended, and we did that with a synthetic brush. And normally I do use synthetic brushes on clients because I want to reduce the chances of any scratchy hairs or anything like that. Although I do tend to use very soft brushes, it would be very expensive for me to use the same brushes that I use in my personal life and my freelance artist kit. So I like to use the brushes from Sigma because they are synthetic, cruelty-free, and very soft. Now that you see we have that blend out, we're going to take the same Sigma E38 brush and go in with the shade Not My Journey on the outer half of the crease as well as the outer V. I have a generic brush cleaner that I'm using between colors to go ahead and change out. As you can see, I want to first press that color down and then blend it out. Now that we have our crease shades in, we're going to go ahead and blend those out with transition shades. For our inner half with the shade My Man, we're going to blend it out with the bright yellow shade No Joke. And we're going to blend that out using the Sigma E25 blending brush. We're going to take and we're going to press that above the orange first. And then we'll go back in and blend it out later. Okay, and now with this brush, we're going to take and diffuse the edges of that orange shade. And now that I've blended out, I'm going to go ahead and add one more layer, press that on, and then go to the other side and blend that out. I'm going to press it in, come over, and blend this side. And once again, after we've blended that out, we're going to go ahead and press one more layer on top and do our final blending. I'm going to come over to this side and blend one more time. Now that we have our inner half blended out, we're going to blend out the outer half, that hot purple shade, Not My Journey, with a hot pink shade called Tipsy Girl. And we're going to use the same Sigma E25 brush. Same technique as well, pressing it on first and blending it out later. Now that we have our crease and transition shades on the lids, we want to go ahead and deepen those up before we cut the crease. For the front half, we're going to be using this red shade, Living My Best. Taking that on the very tip of the brush, knocking off any excess, and going in to the very lowest part of the crease that we can possibly get to, just to deepen up that orange shade. And to deepen up our outer crease where the dark purple is, we're going to go in with the black shade Temperatures. Okay, now that we have everything blended out, I wanted you to go ahead and see everything before we go ahead and cut the crease. And to cut the crease, I'm going to be using the Morphe M421 brush and the NYX Glitter Adhesive. Our main concern is being able to cover as much lid space as possible without covering up our very lowest crease shades, such as this deep red here and the black here. Now that we've cut our crease, we're going to go ahead and apply our lid shade. Our first lid shade that we're going to use on the inner half is going to be Talia, a molten gold shade here. We're going to be applying that with the NYX Cosmetics dual-ended silicone brush, the number 36 brush. As you can see, we've applied a Talia, that molten gold shade, on the inner half of the lids. Now for the outer half, we're going to apply Empowered. It looks like a rich burgundy maroon shade, and we're going to use the Sigma E55 eye shading brush for that. And I want you to go ahead and open your eyes real quick just so they can see what this looks like, open and closed. And you can see that gold is visible with her eyes open and closed. This shade has what appears to be floating glitters or sparkles in it, and I want to reserve as many of those as possible, so I'm patting this shade on instead of swiping and blending. Now that we have our outer lid shade on, we're going to take what's ever left on our Morphe M421 brush and apply that glitter adhesive right on the outer corner just to give us a slight bit more pigmentation when we deepen up our outer V. We're not adding any extra product, we're just using what's left on the brush. And now on our outer corner, we want to go in with that shade Not My Journey first on the Sigma E38 brush. We're going to press that in on the outer corner first, and then we're going to deepen it up with the black. And to deepen up our crease before we go into our next shade, we're going to go in first with the red to deepen up the inner half on the Sigma E36. And then the black shade on the outer V. So now we're finished with what we're going to do on the eyes. Now we're going to go back to our complexion. Our next step is going to be removing our bake. And we're going to use the same brushes that we used to apply it, but we're going to go in reverse order, starting with the e.l.f. brush and buffing away everything from our neck and the rest of the face. And then we're going in with the Real Technique brush and buff away everything that we did underneath the eyes. For contour, we're going to be using the KVD Vegan Beauty Shade and Light Customizable Contour Palette, and I'm going to be using the shade Subconscious right here in the middle. And we're going to be applying that with the It for Ulta Precision Shadow Brush number 112. We're going to use this to contour the nose and the Cupid's bow. And for contouring the cheeks, we're going to be using the Real Technique Sculpting Brush. We're going to use this for the cheeks, the forehead, as well as the jawline. You want to take and apply just enough product to add definition to the face. You don't want to change the features of the client. Okay, and now you can see we have slightly more definition in the slightly raised cheekbones there. And for blush, I know in my original video where I did my own makeup, I used the Jaclyn Hill and Becca palette, but on clients, I'm not a really big fan of using limited edition items, just in case they come on a repeated basis. I don't want to run out of anything that they love. So for blushes, I'm going to be using the Anastasia Beverly Hills Blush Trios. From the Peachy Love one, I'm going to be using the shade Miami. From the Berry Adore Trio, I'm going to be using the shade Exotic. I'm applying my brush with the IT Cosmetics Heavenly Luxe French Boutique Blush Brush, the number 4 brush. Starting off with the Peachy shade just to blend up a satin sheen on the cheek, and then going in with our Berry shade to add more color and definition. I like to go in with the Peachy shade first because I'm known to over apply blush just because I really like it, and this helps prevent that from happening for me. Just enough for the color to come up on the skin, but as you see, if she were to go ahead and smile, you can see how that color does slightly intensify. Now to clean up underneath our eyes, we're going to go in with the Laura Mercier Candle Glow Sheer Perfecting Powder in the shade 2 and our Sigma E50 Large Fluff Brush. I guess she's bored of me.
Tired.
Hey, it is early, y'all. We out here getting this done early.
I can't wait till tonight. Everything is over.
We're going to have her look straight up, and we're going to press this underneath the eye and down the side of the nose. This is going to help brighten underneath our eyes as well as clean up our eyeshadow. Okay, and as you can see, after we've cleaned up, you can tell that the center of the face is very bright. The size of our eyeshadow has been cleaned up and everything looks lifted. Now we're going to take and comb through our brows and our lashes. I'm going to use the e.l.f. Cosmetics Lash and Brow Wand, and to start off spooling those out. Going to brush our brows straight up to comb them through. And then we're going to take and comb our lashes down to make sure there's no additional product on there that can potentially clump up our mascara. And also brushing through the lashes. For mascara, I'm going to be using the Essence Lash Princess Mascara in the False Lash Effect, the green bottle, and using a disposable lash wand to pick up the product. We don't want to double dip with mascara because you increase your risk of passing on pink eye. And I like to start off with the lower lashes because it gives us more chance to clean up if for any reason the client starts to tear up. Okay, and we're going to toss this one away and grab a second one so we can do our top lashes. Have the client look straight forward when you want to do the top lashes. Okay, and as you can see, that mascara did a very beautiful job, but we're still going to go ahead and apply strip lashes. Our lashes for today are going to be the Ardell Demi Wispies, and we're going to apply that with the Duo Quick Set Strip Lash Adhesive in white/clear. And I have yet to be able to explain exactly why I'm capable of putting strip lashes on without the tweezers, even though I always pick the tweezers up right before I put them on. While her lashes are drying, we're going to go in and fill in the brows. We're going to be using the Anastasia Beverly Hills Brow Wiz in the shade Dark Brown. And I am a very big fan of just filling in the brows and accentuating the natural shade. And as you can see, I'm just sweeping this product through the brows. I'm honestly just trying to create the shadow of the hairs. I'm not trying to go in and create actual brush strokes for the hairs. I believe that technique is a little more difficult to perfect and also a little more noticeable in person. I'm gonna go in and fill in the other side as well. And then to spoolie, I'm a big fan of starting off by spoolieing down and then coming up. If for any reason your client notices their eye is starting to water, I always like to offer them a Q-tip because it gives them the chance to clean things up. But if it does start to water, we've already set down that Laura Mercier powder, so we'll be able to clean up things later. Okay, and now to set the brows, we're going to go in with the Anastasia Beverly Hills Clear Brow Gel and the disposable wand. I personally find that you don't have to dip the disposable into the tube itself because it brings up too much product. I just take it and flick it along the wand that comes with the Clear Brow Gel. We're going to use that and we're going to brush that straight up through the brows. And then line up the top hairs. First, I want to go ahead and take another spare Q-tip and have my client look straight up, so just in case we smudge any mascara, we've allowed time for that to dry and we can take and sweep that away. Now we're going to use the same Sigma E50 brush and sweep away any powder from underneath the eyes. We're going to bring that down toward the cheek. And from near the sides of the nose, we're going to bring that out toward the ear. We want this entire area underneath the eye to be as bright as possible without causing any flashback. And because we've applied mattifying products on the skin, such as the foundation, and we've baked, with this powder having a slight sheen to it, it'll help create a luminous glow all over. This will also help diffuse any blush if you've applied too much. And as you can see, underneath our eyes, it's very bright now, and it's also cleaned up the size of the shadow. Now to create a glow all over the entire face, We're going to use the same Laura Mercier powder in the shade 3, and we're going to buff that in with the Bare Minerals Blooming Blush Brush. This is the natural hair brush. I'm not sure if they've discontinued this for the synthetic version, but I have recently only been able to find the synthetic online and the natural hair in the store. I'm going to press that in, and we're going to buff this anywhere we did not place the number 2 shade, which was underneath the eyes. Once again, this powder has a nice luminous sheen to it, so it'll create a glow all over the skin. And as you can see, this is slowly adding more sheen to the skin, even though we've used all of that mattifying product. And we want to take that down the neck as well. For the last spot, we want to get the nose. For highlighter on the inner corner as well as her brows, we're going to take the Morphe M124 brush in the shade Rider Diamonds. And we're going to just take and build that up on the brush and start off underneath the brows. I want to apply this at the very strongest point of the brows and then buff it out from there. We're also going to hit up our inner corner. And for highlighter all over the face, such as the nose, the cupid's bow, and the cheekbones, we're going to go in with the Extra Dimension Skin Finish by MAC Cosmetics in the shade Oh Darling. And this is what the permanent one looks like. I try to keep this one here in my freelance kit, and I just keep the limited edition ones to myself. And for the application, we're going to be using the If for Ulta Radiance Fan Brush, the number 116. I want to swirl my brush into this product to build up as much as I possibly can. And we're going to first go in on the cupid's bow because I like to really accentuate the lips because the lips are my favorite part of the body. And as you can see, what we want to do is just create a glow right at the lip line, but we don't want to create a glowy mustache. So you want to keep that as low as possible and as close to the lip line as possible. And as you can see, now that we can see the actual lip line without adding any product, we know we've added enough. I'm going to take what's left and go down the very center of the nose and slowly but surely build that up because we don't want a stark line of sheen and color down the middle of the face. Okay, and just so you can see this glow application on the cheek, I'm going to slightly turn our head and we're going to take and buff this in with the fan brush. I personally love fan brushes because it allows me to get pinpoint precision placement, such as right here as you can see, and buff back and forth without applying too much product. I like to apply it first at the very highest points of the cheek when I have the most product on the brush, and as I lose product on the brush, I like to take and diffuse it out in larger circles here. Applying small amounts first, then checking your glow to see how much you have, and deciding if you want to add more. And because I'm a very huge fan of glowy skin, of course we're going to go in for another layer. And as you can see, compared to this side that has no highlighter, to this side that does. We want just enough so that it looks like you have a glow coming from within the skin and not from the lights around you. Honey, you are the glow, not the light around you. And now we're gonna do one last dip, and where I like to take it is right above the brows on the sides of the face here, because I've noticed when people naturally perspire, whether they're running, exercising, or things like that, there's a slight glow that also seems to come in right above that area, but we don't want it to be as strong as our brows. So we're gonna add just a slight amount there, as well as on the chin, just so that any and all areas of the face that does have a glow has the same color reflecting from the skin. Okay, now for lips, we're going to go ahead and line them with the NYX lip liner in the shade Espresso. I just want to give the lips a little more definition. We don't want to draw on a whole new shape or anything. As you can see, I've applied lip liner, and although I did want to get it nicely on the lips, I'm not worried about getting it precise because I'm going to go in and buff that out with the e.l.f. Cosmetics contour brush, and I want to buff out the edges of that lip liner. Although for lips, I did apply the Pat McGrath Bronze Temptation Lip Gloss. This is a personal one that I don't want to use on clients. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab the miniature that I grabbed from out of a set, and we're gonna put some of this on a palette on the side and then use a disposable wand to apply it to the lips. Okay, and now that all makeup has been applied, we want to go ahead and finish things off. Once again, I'm a huge fan of glowy skin, and even though we have done matte foundation, you can see the glow is real. But I like to set everything and increase that glow by adding in MAC's Prep and Prime Fix Plus spray. One of my favorite things to do when I was freelancing was to mix different scents up and put them in here. So right now, this could be a mixture of many different things. It could be rose, coconut, it could be the watermelon one. I have that one, as well as the cucumber. Those were my 4 favorites that I would mix up, so every time clients came, they can get a new experience. We're gonna shake that up, and we're gonna start with the neck and spray, and we're gonna spray our entire face to make sure that we have no dry patches and an increased glow. We're gonna use our fan to go ahead and help that dry down so that nothing gets completely wet and starts to smear or smudge. And for our last step, we're going to go in with our finishing spray. Once upon a time, I was testing different sprays out and couldn't come to a complete conclusion on which ones I like best on clients, whether it would be the Scandinavia Oil Control or the Urban Decay All Nighter. And I finally decided that I couldn't choose and started mixing both in a 50-50 bottle right here in the Scandinavia, and we're going to apply that all over the face. And remember, we always feel expensive with the breeze from a cheap fan. We're gonna go ahead, I'm gonna go off camera, I'm gonna clean up my area, allow her to, get dressed and clean herself up, and we'll be back to show you the final look. All right, you guys, and this here is the final look. I wanted to show you all that we have a nice glowy skin going, and I am absolutely in love with this Jaclyn Hill palette. As you see, she is too. Like I said, many people may not agree with me, but I personally believe this palette is better than the Volume 1. As you see, this was the look I did on myself, and she loved it so much she had to have it as well. Morphe, Jaclyn Hill, you all did that. We are loving this palette. If you all want any information on her modeling subscription, if you want any information on her modeling, I'll leave her Instagram page tagged down below. I'll also make sure I leave any information on all brushes and products that we've used. Please do not forget to subscribe to the channel. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Leave a comment down below letting me know if you'd like to see any more looks with this. And remember to always continue to practice, stay blessed, and if nothing else, goodbye YouTube.